Hello, I'm the Doctor. Welcome to DoctorGeek. So, it's finally arrived. Comicon is here, and we have our first look at Series 11 and the 13th Doctor. I called in sick to work today so I could be home to catch all the news, and it's just been a crazy hour following this panel and delving into everything that we learned today. We have a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right into it and take a look at everything that we learned. Since we finally have a trailer today, let's watch that first in clips, talk about it scene by scene, and then we can look at the different quotes and details that we got from the panel. So lots to get through in this video. Very quickly, this is a spoiler warning. Just in case we're able to guess anything in this trailer, you've been warned if you don't want to know anything for Series 11.
All of this is new to me. New faces.
So, in this first part, we're quickly shown our four main characters this series as the Doctor starts us off with, "All of this is new to me." We then see our new faces. First, the Doctor, still wearing her clothes from the regeneration, so I'm assuming that this is one of the very first scenes of the first episode, as she's probably still dealing with the after effects of her regeneration, as well as the fall from the TARDIS, whether she hit the ground or not. You can see that Jodie is grabbing her chest here, so it looks like she's in at least a little bit of pain, and possibly something to do with one of her hearts. Tosin Cole, who plays Ryan, is next, and he seems to be in a bit of trouble himself, as his breath is visible, and he seems like he's just woken up in a strange place. He's followed by Bradley Walsh, who plays Graham, and he looks like he's just finished running away from something, before we see our last companion, Mandip Gill, who's playing Yasmin, or Yaz, as she'll be going by, and Yaz is the only character here that doesn't seem like she's in distress, but I'm willing to bet that all of these clips will be from different episodes throughout the season, so I don't really think there's anything to read into with this first little glimpse of the characters.
New worlds. New times.
In this next section, we get a look at some of the places the Doctor and her companions will be going in their adventures, as the Doctor teases us with new worlds, new times. The first scene is definitely an alien world with a green sky and red sand, making it look very Mars-like, though I'd be pretty surprised if it actually was Mars, and it looks like some sort of ship has crash-landed. In the distance, we can see the TARDIS team approaching, as that's for sure Jodie on the far left, but strangely, it doesn't look like any of them are wearing spacesuits, so whatever this planet is, it seems like they don't have any issues breathing. In the next scene, we see the four of them again, this time on a beach on what could easily be Earth, as they've got an ocean in the background, and the Doctor is leading them up a sand dune to a structure in the sand, and it looks like she's following a few footprints in the sand. Also, just as the scene changes, we can see Graham in the background falling down. It looks like his character is going to be a bit on the silly side, especially after some of the details that we got in this panel, so we'll talk about that a little later. In this last scene, the TARDIS team is running either to or from something, and once again the setting makes it look like this is the second or third episode that we know was shot in South Africa. So this is probably that episode set in the 1960s during the bus boycott that we've heard a lot about. You can see the car in the background is an old 50s style model, so that's just another detail that makes me think that we're in the past here. Also, you'll get a better look at it in just a moment, but Jodie is wearing a different shirt here than she was in her outfit reveal, so it seems like at least that part of her costume will be changing throughout the series.
So if I asked really, really nicely, would you be my new best friends? So if I asked really, really nicely, would you be my new best friends?
I love this line from Jodie, as she seems to be propositioning at least two of her companions at the same time. So I really hope that we get to see this line of dialogue in the show, as I'm curious as to how this situation arises. In the first scene here, we get another look at that first episode going by Jodie's clothes, and she seems to be inspecting something before someone shines a flashlight on her. Once again, this seems fairly early on in that first episode, as the Doctor looks slightly confused, And I wouldn't be surprised if this was close to the scene in that leaked footage showing the Doctor on a train, as this could easily be a train yard and the flashlight could belong to Yasmin, who stumbles upon the Doctor in that scene. Now, this next part is interesting because it shows the Doctor seemingly in a lot of pain as she grabs her head, almost like she's under attack or someone's trying to get into her mind. We can also hear her scream a little bit here, so this is obviously not a good moment for the Doctor. Since she's in her proper costume, it's a little hard to try and guess when in the season this could be, or what enemies could possibly be behind it. But it looks like she's wearing the alternate version of the shirt that I pointed out a little earlier, so this could be the same episode. Next, we get a solo shot of Graham as he looks very concerned while looking up, and at first it looks like he might be holding a gun here, at least that's what I first thought, but actually it seems like he's just got some sort of satchel wrapped around him, and possibly a lunch pail. Behind him, there's a lot of rubble and destruction, so this looks like it could be an off-world episode. Finally, we get a great shot of the Doctor and her companions, and a perfect view of that alternate red shirt that the Doctor will be wearing. Where she's getting these different variations of the rainbow shirt, I am a little curious about, so I hope that's addressed. Once again, given the shirt and the lighting, and especially the cars in the background, I think we can safely assume that this is the 60s episode, which makes me more convinced that the clip of the Doctor holding her head in pain is also from this episode. I also really love the Doctor's stance here, hands on her hips. She looks very doctor-y here, and we'll see her assume the same stance in a scene coming up, so it looks like this will be one of the 13th Doctor's go-to positions.
Right, this is gonna be fun.
This last part of the trailer is bookended by clips from the first episode, as the Doctor is in her 12th Doctor clothes. And even more so, she's wearing the smock that she was seen wearing in the leaked photos of the new sonic screwdriver a few weeks ago. So I'm betting that both of these clips are from the scene in the first episode where the Doctor crafts her sonic. In fact, Chris Chibnall at the panel today said that the Doctor gets her sonic in a very unique way. So he all but confirmed, based on everything else that we know, that the Doctor will be making her sonic screwdriver this time around. So this first scene looks to be the crafting process in action, as the Doctor uses this flamethrower thing to heat something up. Next, we see a bunch of very quick shots. First, Ryan and Graham looking slightly frightened. Not much to go on here, except that Graham is wearing different clothes than we've seen up until now, as his shirt has always been either red or burgundy in color, so this is probably a later episode in the season. Next is the TARDIS team walking in what looks like some underground tunnels, but they're joined by at least 2 other people who are too dark to make out, but I think we get a little glimpse of them a little later on. The Doctor looks through a mail slot before we see a bunch of people on horseback, but I can't be sure here if the Doctor is one of them. It looks like maybe Ryan and the Doctor are in the back row, but none of the riders look like Graham, that's for sure, and I don't think I see Yaz here either. So it's hard to say for certain if this is all new people or not. The next scene is a very cool picture of the 4 of them standing on a planet with 3 suns, watching them set on the shore of an ocean in a beautifully cinematic shot. And I really like Graham's sunglasses here. This feels to me like either the very beginning of an episode or the end of an episode, as the team feels very relaxed, almost like they're enjoying a job well done. Also, the Doctor's jacket looks great blowing in the wind. Next, we see Ryan quickly react to something, and it looks like whatever it is aiming a red light directly at his hand, before we get our first ever view of the new sonic screwdriver in action, with that crystal at the end glowing orange. And this is just a great look for Jodie and for Doctor Who. This is our Doctor, and she looks fantastic. Next, we see Jodie doing some classic running through the corridors, which is of course a Doctor Who staple of over 50 years, so good on her for that. And then this last scene, before the final tagline, is everyone being quite shocked by something. We don't see Graham in this scene, but I'm reasonably sure that he's just off screen to the left, as I'm pretty sure that this is the same episode as that underground cave was just a few moments ago, with these two people on the right being the unidentified people that they were walking through that tunnel with. They're both armed, which makes me think that they might be soldiers or possibly something like a resistance fighter, as the Doctor has a knack for running into those around the universe. But whoever they are, they seem to be just as worried as the Doctor is about whatever they've just seen. We next get that line that seems to be the motto for this series: "The universe is calling," before the last scene, which I mentioned earlier, that I'm assuming is directly before the Doctor makes her sonic screwdriver, as she's wearing the smock from before, and she says, "Right? This is gonna be fun," before she gets to work. So wow, it's amazing how a 40-second trailer can hit you after 7 months without new Doctor Who. And boy, did this trailer do a great job of getting us excited and showing us a bit, while also simultaneously showing us almost nothing. And while that makes my job harder, it makes the excitement even greater for this new series, which, by the way, we still have no release date for, as even at the panel, all they would say is coming this fall. So stay tuned for news on that, hopefully soon, but I'd say for sure not this week. Okay, so first thing that you might have noticed about this trailer is that there are absolutely no monsters in it whatsoever, which is to say that we only see the Doctor and the team reacting to things. In fact, the only time that we ever really see the Doctor in any distress at all is when she's clutching her head in pain. So it seems like Chris Chibnall really wants to keep a lid on what the Doctor will be facing in the new series. But one huge detail that he did drop, and I want to stress that we're now talking about today's panel, but one thing that Chibnall said today was that the series will have no Daleks, which would make this the first series since the 2005 reboot to not feature the Daleks in any capacity. And honestly, I'm pretty happy about that decision. I mean, I like the Daleks as much as the next fan, but at this point, they've gotten to be so reoccurring that they've honestly gotten a little silly, and have lost a lot of the menace that they once had. In fact, in the classic series, there were often many years without a Dalek story, and I really think it helps to put some distance between the Doctor and the Daleks, at least for a while. Chibnall said a bit more about the monsters this series, but at this point I'd like to just go over a few things that happened at the panel, and a few noteworthy things that each cast member said, so I'll circle back to Chibnall's other comments in a bit. So the first thing we saw was a fun video that Jodie made, showing her realizing that she was late to Comicon and that she had to fly to San Diego immediately to make the panel, and she briefly considers taking the TARDIS before realizing that it's not for public use. As Jodie arrives at Comicon, she gets pointed in the right direction by a nervous fan before making her entrance to a massive fan reaction. And already, people absolutely love Jodie. Backing this up, the first thing they presented was a video compilation, both of people live reacting to the 13th Doctor's announcement last year, and then of people cosplaying as the 13th Doctor and wishing Jodie luck. And honestly, this was really moving to see, especially all of the young female Doctor Who fans to whom this moment will probably be one that they will never forget. So that was really awesome to see, and I'm sure Jodie was incredibly moved by it as well. But okay, getting into the tidbits that the panel talked about, unsurprisingly they didn't reveal a ton, but we did get our first official look at the sonic screwdriver, which confirmed the leaks from a few weeks ago, showing the Doctor building what we all assumed was just that, the new Sonic. So it's a relief to know that we weren't all misreporting on that, and that this is in fact the 13th Doctor's new sonic screwdriver. I'm not really sure why it needs to curve like that, but overall I think this is a really cool design, and I'll be picking up the toy version as soon as it goes on sale this August. And of course we saw this Sonic in action briefly in the trailer, so I'm really liking how it looks, and I think the orange glow somehow suits Jodie, or at least the new color scheme that Doctor Who has adopted this year. As I said before, Chibnall said that the Doctor comes to this Sonic in a very particular way, so we can expect to see her build it in the first episode, most likely due to the absence of the TARDIS. Mandip Gill, who plays Yaz, said that Yaz is a 19-year-old girl from Sheffield who asks for a bit more from life and gets it. She's whisked away on an adventure with people who become her family, and she idolizes the Doctor. So it's interesting to know that Yaz is so young, since we saw that she was a police officer in the leaked clip, and that seems a bit young to be a police officer. But it's possible that she was pulling an Amy Pond in that scene, and there's a deeper story behind it. Mandip also said that she didn't need to do a lot to act out Yasmin, because there is just so much in the script that makes up the characters. She said that she just turned up and had fun, and also mentioned that she had no idea what she was auditioning for at the time that she auditioned, which just shows you the level of secrecy that goes into casting for Doctor Who. Tosin Cole, playing Ryan, said that he was super excited when he got casted, and that he immediately told everyone that he'd gotten a role in Doctor Who. And while Bradley Walsh wasn't there for the panel, Jodie mentioned that his character Graham is the most cautious character in the TARDIS team, and that he'd love a chair and probably a sandwich in every scene. Getting back to my point from earlier that he's probably going to be a bit of a comic relief character, similar to how Nardole was last season. Jodie was probably the most excited of all of them during the panel, and with good reason, as this is probably all very overwhelming to her right now. She said that on the first few days of shooting, she felt as though she was in someone else's shoes, and that it was a wonderful and amazing way to start her journey. She also mentioned that to her, the Doctor is a pillar of hope, striving for brightness and inclusion. Obviously, the most information came from the new showrunner, Chris Chibnall, who had a few interesting things to say. First off, he said that all of the crew, who had been working on the show for years, saw Jodie in action on day one and said, "She's the Doctor." Apparently, there were even some tears shed. He said it's very important that the Doctor is a pacifist, solve things through brains, not bullets. We need a pillar of hope in these times, and that pillar of hope is Jodie Whittaker. He mentions that in their casting of the companions, they were really looking for emotional range and truth in their actors, and he thinks that the chemistry of the cast is pretty amazing, and will be evident once we start to see it on screen. Chibnall said that he thinks that he's made something very special for us in autumn, and that the privilege of carrying on Doctor Who and introducing the new cast is massive for him, and he knows how important it is. Interestingly, Chibnall said that the series would focus on practical effects over digital ones, taking a cue from directors like J.J. Abrams. And this is really good to hear, especially after the news that they completely replaced all of the cameras on the show for the new series to try and be more cinematic. Getting back to the monsters and the no Daleks in Series 11 news, Chibnall said that there are a lot of new monsters this year, and that he really wanted to rely less on old stuff this season in order to create something that new viewers could come to and not feel like they were missing out on some backstory, essentially treating this as a jumping off point for Doctor Who fans. At this piece of news, I'm slightly conflicted, as on one hand, I'm happy that they are trying to bring in new viewers to the series and will be using Jodie, as they should be, to regenerate the franchise. But at the same time, I'm slightly worried because I think this throws a lot of cold water on that Jack Harkness rumor, since having him appear, especially in the early part of the season, would seem to be counterproductive to what he just said. But I'll still continue to hold out hope until that's proven false, as he did say that he would never rule out bringing back past characters in the future, as there's so many great things in the back catalog of Doctor Who to use. So there's still a small chance that we'll see him. Series 11 will be 10 exciting, varied, standalone stories, which means no two-parters. But I think we can count on a Christmas special, so we can boost that number up to 11 and keep our fingers crossed. I'll end this video update with a fan question who asked the panel to define the Doctor's personality. Mandip said she's humorous, witty, and energetic. Tosin said she's bubbly, funny, and playful, but stern when she needs to be. Chibnall said she's like a panel game, really flipping awesome. And Jodie herself said, "As far as I think I'm doing, I feel like this doctor requires a lot of energy, a lot of childish wonder. Quite fidgety. So, that's everything that I was able to get out of this panel from the furious updates out of Comic-Con. And I'll be putting out another video of clips if a video of the panel ever surfaces. And to see any of the videos that I used in this, check the description for links to all of those. I hope you understand the new information a little bit better now, so please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to help out DoctorGeek. And ring that bell so you never miss an update. Let me know in the comments down below if I missed anything, which, let's be real, I'm sure I did. It was a crazy, crazy day. But tell me what part of the trailer most excited you for the new series. As always, thank you all for being my companions on this journey today. I'm the Doctor. Bye for now.